Well, hi everyone, it's Pete here from the Pain Toolkit, and I'm with my good buddy there, Keith Meldrum from Canada. Good morning to you, Keith.
Good morning, Pete. Good afternoon,
Yeah,
I mean.
yeah, it's our evening here. Hey Keith, I see you brought a friend along today. What's going on?
I did. I've brought my good friend Sue Reid Schellinck. She's a fellow Canadian from British Columbia, a wonderful west coast of Canada, and she's from Vancouver Island, and she's in a beautiful little town called Nanaimo, British Columbia, which I've been to many times. So, Sue, thanks for joining Pete and I today.
Oh, great to be here. Thanks for having me. And good
Thanks.
morning and good afternoon.
So we brought Sue with us to talk a little bit about some pain toolkit ideas that we're working on, and this is the concept of prehab. So I think lots of people understand what rehab is, and so we're looking at that in the context of prehab. So what can people do to help themselves live better with pain before they have to maybe go into other interventions, medical, surgical, sort of drugs. So there's lots of stuff that we know that can work. But what Peter and I have found, so this is not a concept that is overly prescribed as an option for people before we sort of rush them into a medical intervention. So, but we understand that you have some experience in this world. So would you mind sharing a little bit of your experiences in prehab? And I would like to say that Sue is also an occupational therapist, one of my absolute favorite medical professions.
Love what I do. Yeah, prehab. I've been doing prehab for about probably about 15 years. Started with some hip surgery prehab, knee surgery prehab kind of stuff, where you basically just give them the tools they need to be ready post-surgically. But it was really more about preparing people for returning home with sort of an injury. And so when I went into the pain world in about 2005, looked at keeping that going with the concept of pain. And what we know is that what happens most of the time is people go to a clinic or a physician and they get their injection or medications or whatever it might be, and they try. If that doesn't work, they try a different one. If that doesn't work, they try a different one. And then, oh, this isn't working, well, let's send you to rehab. And I think I was incredibly fortunate to work at a program which included pain fellows, physicians, and a rehab staff. And what we found is that when people would do more of the rehab, because quite often the wait to get in to see the physician was long, so they end up doing a lot of the rehab stuff beforehand. And what that does is that winds down the pain that comes more from the sort of the central part, so more from the brain, more from the nervous system being overexcited. If we can teach them about that, the education about it, and then how to wind it down, when they do go to get their medications or their interventions, they have so much more effect. Because what we know is pain doesn't decrease quickly. Initially, function increases, right? And after function increases, then pain decreases. But we still use pain as a measure. So if we can use these other things like breathing and walking a bit more, we can have some good outcomes early on, and have some great effects. Yeah.
I think that's not saying that really is the key. And you know, speaking a little bit for Pete, which I don't need to, but he can jump in. You know, that was my experience as well. Was many years in a medical system of just not getting, of getting care, but not the right care that I needed. But still, personally being focused in, I just needed to find the doctor to do the right thing. I believe this concept of prehab would have served me much better before an intervention that I received, which is neuromodulation. Would I have not needed it? I really don't know. I still think for me, I may have needed it, but my transition into it and life after it would have been a lot different than the rocky road that I continued to follow after it. So I'm really interested in your experiences and how you have, you know, so can you tell us your experiences with seeing how that has been affected and it has allowed people while they're waiting for a surgical intervention or something else to be able to move themselves to a place of being able to live better with pain.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And I think I kind of threw physicians under the bus a bit, didn't I? With them just trying and I have to sort of adjust that, because there was definitely, when I started, a rehab mentality that you don't need pills, you don't need medicine, you don't need stuff, you just need rehab. Right. And so that's not right either, because, you know, how is someone going to meditate or walk or even think clearly if they don't have some assistance? And ideally that assistance winds down, you know, how things go. Yeah, we've had quite a bit of successes with people coming in. I think, there's no real indicator when someone gets into chronic pain. It just feels like the pain you've always had, the headache you've always had, or the knee pain that just doesn't go away. And there's no real indicator that anything's different. So I think we think that pain is just in the body.
Right.
So one of the big things is teaching that, yeah, it is in the body. And there is also that whole brain component. I try not to say brain because then people think they often feel they're going crazy,
Yes.
right? They're losing their
Yes.
mind. I don't normally say brain when I'm teaching it, but I think it's a bit easier for this bit today. So the brain can be incredibly helpful, right? We've got that drug cabinet in our brain. We've got these fantastic tools that we can really control our body and help with that. So interesting. I learned my very first meditation I learned as a 9-year-old. I used to be a gymnast at a pretty decent level, and I learned how to do passive muscle relaxation because if you're going to do a cartwheel and you're like kind of like this, you're going to crack your head.
Right.
Right. You have to have those muscles nice and long and lean and relaxed so you can then use them powerfully. So I've incorporated a lot of that kind of stuff into what I do and explained it in that kind of way, is that it's really works well together. So looking at getting people the education to understand, just make sense of what's happening in their body, like Bronnie often says, right? And that making sense of pain is so important to understand what's happening, because otherwise you feel lost in your body. And then giving them all the tools, right? Giving them the relaxation, the meditation. But I kind of prefer to have it be like more functional. Instead of half an hour, do this,
Yeah.
that. Because people well, I might just speak for myself. I need to meditate half an hour a day. Okay, it's bedtime. I'm wound up. I'm crazy. My hair's coming out of all ends. And I'm going to meditate now. It's too late.
Yeah. Yeah.
Too late. So try and get them the idea and all those different tools, like you guys have in this fantastic pain toolkit, having them, learning about them, and then using them early and often throughout the day so they can help modulate their nervous system. They can help sort of control that dial of where the pain might be.
Right.
So can I ask a question? Because from my experience, there aren't that many healthcare professionals around like yourself who are familiar with the term. I think they're probably familiar with the term prehab, but
right.
like me before I started getting into this, they're not that what's the word? Not comfortable is the wrong word actually. Au fait, I'll call it. Not knowledgeable about it. So so you're talking to what would you say to a person living with pain or a healthcare professional? How would you best describe how useful prehab would be to someone who's perhaps going to have an operation or considering coming off their pain medication? Because to me this is like prehab is getting in, like rehab is like, well, you've had the procedure, the operation, or you come up, but then you've got to find out. To me it's all about, what can't we do this at the beginning rather than at the end? So what would you say to people watching this or listening to this? What would be their perhaps their 3 main things they need to be doing to find out more about prehab, who to go and see about prehab?
That's a great question. And who to go to see, that's a real tough one, isn't it? Depending on where you are in the world and what you have access to or funding for. Our prehab was myself as an occupational therapist. So I did a physical, cognitive, emotional assessment, lifestyle assessment, habits and whatnot. The physio would do their physical. We had a social worker and a pharmacist in the prehab that we had. It was very, very intensive. We'd all do our bit. And then we would come up with suggestions for how they could move forward. So that's a very high level of prehab, right? Where you sort of go to a team, and we were a team, we worked together, we worked in the same little office, very well coordinated. We knew what programs we were going to. Often we taught the programs. And then there's a level of prehab where you have the tools like you have with your toolkit, right? We've got all that information for you. I think for me, 3 things that I've seen, well, one of the things is people say, I feel like myself again, because medications can be fantastic, but they help 20 to 30% of the time, and they don't usually last. So what's the other 70 to 80%, right? And it could be medications, interventions, whatever that might be. So this is really the 70 to 80%. And the beautiful thing, which is the second thing, is that the more you grab onto that 70 to 80%, and the more you figure that out for your own personal self, because everyone's quite different. I'd love to have tick box, say do this, but everyone's different. Then what happens is when you have the surgery or the intervention or the neuromodulation, it often has much better results because we've eliminated that sort of central source of the pain, not eliminated, but reduced it greatly. And sometimes eliminated. Some people have, walked away and are pain-free even from things like CRPS, complex regional pain syndrome. And I think the other thing that I would say is the people that grab onto this like a lifestyle are the people who have better results, but also have a better life. Because I think a lot of this is really living a full life, a social life, getting out and being social, moving, free moving, free and gentle, relaxing, moving, all that kind of things that gets you. So that gets us a better life instead of, sitting at our desk and stuck. So I think those are probably be the things that I've seen that have been the most beneficial for people.
So we've got to come to a close now, but because I know Keith's got to move on to something else, and I've got my supper ready. But listen, before we go, can I ask for people watching this, whether they're a healthcare professional or a person living with pain and they're reading through the Prehab pain toolkit, what would be your take-home message to them right now?
Yeah, I think that pain is complicated and we need both. We need to have some relief from the pain, whatever that's going to look like, often in the form of medications, but we need to take back control of what we need. We need to get back to what we're passionate about. I think if we can get back to what we're passionate about, that then gets us motivated to keep moving forward. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Have you got any final take-home messages, Keith?
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up on what you said there, Sue, and just sort of what you wove through your whole conversation here is that pain is complex and it's about treating the whole person, right? The totality of their lives. So all pain is biological in that it affects our biology, but that biology is impacted by our emotions and our stresses and our fears and our hopes and all of those things. And so when, as you said, Sue, when you look at sort of treating the whole person and getting to what is important in their life and what is meaningful to them, that's when we have the best chance to really help them. And I'm going to plug one of my favorite quotes because he's a Canadian doctor from 120 years ago, William Osler, right? The good doctor treats the disease, or the good physician treats the disease, the great physician treats the person that has the disease. And I think until we move to that model throughout healthcare, we're going to continue to struggle, help people, and we can do better. So I loved your thoughts and ideas, Sue, and I'm so excited to know that you've been doing this for so long and that you have seen the successes that come.
Yeah. One more thing, just what you're saying, pain is biological, but suffering is cognitive, emotional, lifestyle, right? It's
right.
Suffering.
Yep. There you go. Absolutely.
Prehab helps the suffering. So thank you, gentlemen, for your time. It's been really great to chat with you. Appreciate that.
Great. Well, thanks, Sue. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Keith. And so, hey everyone, thanks very much for watching another video. Hope you're enjoying the Prehab Pain Toolkit and you're finding it useful. Again, supportive self-management, it's about teamwork, it's about working with others. If you're perhaps someone in your circle of support, that may be a friend, family friend, or just a friend or work colleague, etc. But especially a healthcare professional who is experienced in supportive self-management, especially Prehab as well. So again, anyway, enjoy the rest of the toolkit. I hope you'll keep well. Any questions at all, don't hesitate, just just drop me an email via the website. Thanks very much. Take care. See you guys.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.